Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla. Let's figure out what is happening with, of course, the massive day coming up tomorrow, actually, after market close. We have one more day really of potentially, who knows what really until, I guess, right before earnings actually does come out, which I think will be a major catalyst, especially this earnings with margins. That's the massive question mark right now for a lot of people. How have margins been affected after the cost reduction in prices on Tesla? So all that being said, of course, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. Of course, this is not financial advice. And then if you're interested in my membership section on YouTube is live, the link is down below for $2.99, where I share my intraday thoughts on Tesla as it moves. But moving right into it, the market's closing in just a couple of minutes. Tesla looking like, closing about 1% in the green, which compared to the market is a slight underperformance, but nothing too substantial. But for the most of the day, Tesla was actually underperforming the market, pretty much being flat for the majority of the day, while NASDAQ and SPY were up pretty much roughly what they are up as of right now that we see, give or take. Now, what does this all mean? So Tesla is in a bit of an interesting position now. So, like I said, I don't expect too much moves to happen. I mean, 1% is not a lot at all, especially for Tesla. It's actually pretty small for Tesla, right? But the issue, or not the issue, but the thing here is the fact that Tesla moving up 1% puts it in a very peculiar position. And the reason I say that is because it's seemingly breaking above pretty important trend lines on both. So I'm actually going to be switching to a Spider or a Trend Spider soon for a few reasons. And I think you guys will appreciate the extra tools we'll have here to talk about next week. But even here, you can see it right here. You can see it. It is breaking above and closing above very crucial levels that I personally did not think it would happen, at least not yet. I didn't think it would be this easy because it just feels like it just casually went right above it. No biggie whatsoever. Now, of course, the main one being the red line, right? The overall massive trend resistance that we've had pretty much ever since all-time highs, that we've tested 2 times after all-time highs, and now we're at a third time, but seemingly breaking and more importantly, closing above that trend line. Now, the most important thing for me moving forward, this is a big step one, but the second step that's arguably more important to me, maintaining this position, right? Because there's many times where you've had it, where Tesla has false breakouts, kind of like this situation here, right? This blue line, right? Where we've had false breakouts like this, right? Where we kind of went above it and pretty convincingly too. And it looked like, wow, it just completely blew right past it and then just completely collapses the next day. And not just Tesla, of course, just stocks in general, right? But the point is that that can happen. So that to me is step number 2. Can Tesla maintain this level above 291, I would say ish? Can it maintain above 291 and not close below it and not just collapse right back under? That's going to be crucial. And I usually have a 2 or 3 day rule, which I'm sure people have heard me say many times before, where if a stock or whatever breaks a certain trend, I want to see it maintain and hold above that broken trend, whether it's to the downside or to the upside, for about 2 or 3 days. That to me is extremely important because, like I said, there are many false breakouts, for better or for worse, up or down, that do happen just in stocks in general. And Tesla's, of course, no exception. But with that being said, this is a phenomenal step 1. Of course, the massive 300 level is right above us, and potentially even more massive level right above us is going to be the 315 level, where if we go all the way over here, you can see this line right here is 300, where you can see many times, right, especially like over here, right, over here, a lot of support and resistance. A lot of resistance here, a lot of support and some resistance here, right? A lot of dancing that happened all the way over here as well. So, it's a pretty crucial level to pay attention to. And of course, the next level after that will be about this kind of 312 to 315 level, which again, we came up to several times over here. Massive resistance, arguably 315-ish. The 312, 315 is probably even more important than 300, but nonetheless, 2 extremely crucial levels coming up. And I think 315 is actually where it puts Tesla back at that $1 trillion market cap. So at this point, truly wouldn't shock me if Tesla actually does revisit 315. It wouldn't completely shock me whatsoever. But of course, with earnings literally around the corner, that can change in a snap of a finger. So that's something that I'm going to be very cautious about. Like I said the other day, I did enter a bullish position back on yesterday's retest of this 284 level. I entered at 285, and I not too long after, when we went to about 289, I did sell calls against those shares. As a hedge, right? As a hedge, I did sell calls just below 300, like 297, I think I did, as a way that, I'm hoping that it actually executes, and I'm hoping that it sells the shares so that I can take that profit from, the actual share price going up. And on top of that, I'll get that nice juicy premium as well, which is to me a pretty safe trade, but also a pretty lucrative trade. Making decent money off that for something that I consider to be exceptionally safe and nothing I I'm nervous about like at all. But with that being said, moving forward, right? So what does this mean? So like I said, broke above the red trend line. Then we have, of course, this green trend line that we're also breaking above, right? This overall green channel, which again, you can see pretty much right here as well, right? That we're breaking above it and closing above, more importantly. So we blasted right through. It seems like a little almost too easy on a little bit of low volume. That's a little concerning, but nonetheless, still closing candles above it. And again, if you're a bear, I would be a little bit nervous here for sure. I would have been nervous for like this whole move up here, but especially if you're still holding or if you even just enter a bearish position, it's definitely a little bit of a question mark here for sure. So that's something else to consider. But another thing to pay attention to that will make the bears a little bit happy is the fact that, again, we're still having bearish divergences. Like we're still moving higher, and we're still nowhere even remotely close to what this RSI peaked at back when we were still trading around this 274-ish level. Now we're almost at 300, and it's not even remotely close to all the way up here, right? Which of course is a bearish divergence, right? That's still of course in play. Like I said, this does take time to play out. But with that being said, that is something the bears still have something to look forward to, that, there is a chance that this cool off, still actually does begin. But with today's closure, it's looking a little bit less likely, and that's something I would personally want to bet on. I'd rather wait, enter small positions, play the momentum, play the volatility, and just patiently wait for the cool off to finally begin. Because at some point it will begin. It's just a matter of when, not if. Other than that, I'm chilling on the sidelines and just really playing this volatility with like about 10% ish, 15 maybe percent of my portfolio, right? And that's perfectly fine by me. Now, with that being said, like I said the other day as well, SPY and QQQ. SPY breaking above this trend line as well, similar to what Tesla's doing, just a little bit. SPY's a little more convincing, but we talked about yesterday how it's breaking above and it's not looking that bearish. QQQ, we talked about the other day how the candle yesterday didn't look that bearish either. This red candle looked pretty bearish, but again, no follow through. Pretty much blasted right above it. This candle, like I said yesterday, doesn't look bearish at all. We still went even higher. It just feels like the market is completely unstoppable right now, which is almost the opposite of what it felt like back when we were trading all the way at the levels down here. And especially when Tesla was trading all the way, around these levels over here, where it just felt like it was unstoppable to the downside. Now it feels like we're doing the complete opposite. And, when things feel like they'll never stop and they'll keep going in one direction, same thing that happened here, now same thing that's happening here. The market's usually pretty damn good at playing with emotion like that. So keep that in mind, of course, take it as you will. But all that being said, with earnings coming up tomorrow, Netflix and Tesla, I think that's going to be a major catalyst. So I'll definitely be paying attention to that. Of course, on top of that, we also have the 21 email, which if we do fall back, I wouldn't be surprised if we bounce off of this regardless, assuming earnings is maybe bad or sell the news, right? We have the Bollinger Band that we're still severely hugging the green line, actually starting to kind of, expand away from each other. So a little bit of a squeeze happening over here as well. You can see, right, as the Bollinger Bands now are expanding away from each other as opposed to contracting into each other. So that's another thing to consider. And the final thing I'll mention that I think is pretty important is this, and this is for the bulls. Right? I don't know why the market's so red all of a sudden. Someone report earnings and it's horrific or something. I don't know why the market closed and everything's looking decently red post-market and just kind of out of nowhere. I'm not really sure who reported. I don't see any major moves. They're all down like 0.75%. Anyway, whatever. The point is, the thing I want to mention is a bit of like a connection sort of to Nvidia. Now, Nvidia, as I'm sure if you've been paying attention, it has just been on quite the tear, right? Nvidia, of course, had their earnings all the way down over here. Even before that, it was on a tear, right? Pretty much went for a double top roughly to the all-time highs, had its earnings and absolutely just completely and astronomically blasted post earnings, just complete and utter decimation of bears. Like, I don't think that I've seen anything this crazy. This makes Tesla look like it doesn't do anything to bears. This was decimation, right? Because it already had a massive run up, and after earnings, it still ran another 55% with no signs of slowing down. And the thing is that it looks eerily similar to Tesla, right? And, they're kind of in the same space where like Nvidia is obviously AI, but, chips, AI and things like that. But Tesla makes their own chips. Tesla is arguably an AI company, right? On top of course, having the car business. But nonetheless, it's not like the most opposite of businesses, like for instance, Nvidia to Walmart or something like that. You know what I mean? And again, looking at the charts, you can see like Tesla, it's not looking that unsimilar to Tesla. So if Tesla's earnings are phenomenal, like as just crazy as it sounds, it wouldn't shock me if it has a rip move like this, just like Nvidia did, where it essentially takes all technical analysis and just pretty much throws it out the window and just says, I'm only going up. Because similar to Tesla, Nvidia also had, overbought signals on the RSI, massive bearish divergences, but it's just still tearing up like no tomorrow. So we'll see, of course. I really do think it comes down to earnings literally tomorrow. I think that's gonna be the massive day. if Tesla is, if it's a bad earnings and it sells off, if it's just a flat out sell the news event, whatever the case may be, and let's say it does fall down, let's say 7% or whatever, I personally think it, in theory, should be a buy the dip opportunity. And I absolutely will be doing that. And if it rips up even higher, well, like I said, I do have that about 10% of my position right now that I am playing to the upside that I will be making, what I can personally consider to be pretty decent money on. And I'm okay with that as well. Obviously, I'd prefer if it went down so I can buy more aggressively. But if it goes up here, I have skin in the game, so I'm not missing out on that either. And I'm very okay about that. But nonetheless, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. So I think it really comes down to earnings. But this closure so far is definitely a close that should make bears sweat even harder, in my opinion. But can't ignore this bearish divergence on the RSI. Also, you can see the MACD on here. It's not looking the best, right? We did cross down on the MACDs into the, I guess, quote unquote, bearish territory, and it hasn't really been able to flip back up, right? Every time it's been touching the red line, or the green line has come up back to the red line, it's been getting rejected, and we're pretty much right at that position again, right here, right now. So we'll see what that ends up actually being as well. And yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Next week, I will start using TrendSpider. There's gonna be a lot more tools I can use and go over with you guys as well, because they graciously gave me a premium account. Yeah, so I'll go over that all in next Monday. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.